For 11 minutes yesterday, a hush fell over Jerusalem.
Oh my God.
There was peace on Twitter because the personal account of the man in the White House was deactivated by an outgoing customer support employee.
Now, can you please deactivate the presidency?
I mean, he said, the guy in the house said, my Twitter account was taken out for 11 minutes by a rogue employee. I guess the word must finally be getting out and having an impact.
What word? That's from Donald? Is that from Donald?
That is from, he tweeted that this morning. Anybody?
You mean people are trying to censor him?
I just, I don't know. I thought it was dope. I was like, you go out like that. He's like a Twitter patriot. But what strikes me as odd is other people's accounts have been taken down for a lot less than the behavior we see exhibited from the presidency every single day.
Yeah, like who?
Some of the things
Rose McGowan?
Rose McGowan's. I mean, some of, he can be a Twitter bully. And I thought Twitter was a platform where that kind of thing was unacceptable. And his account has never been taken down.
But the scary part, the one thing that did scare me, all joking aside, is some people tweeted things like, I want to buy this employee a pizza, like, good for you. Yeah. But then other people were saying the access of an account with this much influence is a little scary because if someone had written something like we're going to war with North Korea,
that's true.
There's a danger in the access. So you'd almost think they should add some checks to the higher level.
Or maybe information like that shouldn't be on Twitter.
That's
maybe information like we're going to war. It should be something that, a whole bunch of people get together and say it in camera so you can see their faces. See, I don't want to read that. I don't want to read it on Twitter. I want to read, ooh, whoopee, your butt is big. I can accept on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't want to know the policies of the United States. And I get that I get that this is now a new world and it's evolving, but I'm not there yet. I haven't evolved that far.
Many of us aren't.
But my life revolves around our president's tweets, whether I like it or not. I used to have alerts on my phone. I can't do it anymore.
Oh my gosh, your phone was
7
up all
out this
day.
morning.
I'd be like,
I actually was like, this isn't emotionally good for me to wake up and have every Trump tweet and go to sleep with every Trump tweet. And I think the collective American public at large, I did turn it off, but I agree with you with what you're saying. What if someone had hacked in and we had sort of a war of the world situation where he said, we're nuking North Korea now? People would panic and riot in the streets. So my concern is more the national security aspect of this. And it's hilarious. I think it's funny that some person was like, I'm going out and I'm going to take down the Twitter account at the same time. But there is real life ramifications.
I love the idea that when you're on your way out, you want to do something. Like there was a story I read last week about a guy who's on his deathbed and he hated Trump so much. But this is a true story. His wife said to him, Trump was impeached. And he died happy. I read that. You can die happy.
There was my favorite obituary during the election was a woman said, I would rather go into the arms of our sweet Lord than vote between Hillary or Trump. I'd rather just die here. And
Dave Chappelle did an amazing sketch on kicking the sign on the way out. And dropping some F. And he had to ask for his job back. So be careful on what you do going out because you might be coming back in.
You know what? I don't know. I get that people get a lot of their information from Twitter. I get it. But I don't want, that's too public for me. It's just too public. If stuff is going on that has to do with national security and stuff, I don't want to read it on Twitter. I don't want to see it on Twitter. It's like all this stuff now, they keep showing the guy that did the bombing and stop showing. I don't want to see all this because it tells people all your moves. Yeah. Well, I don't want to know all your moves. I don't want to know what you were thinking when you did this. I want you to just go away.
It's very unpresidential, I think, when you have presidential statements on social media. I mean, this president is using it in a way it's never been used before.
But no one's able to lasso him in, so I have more faith that the company could make some guidelines to protect some of these things so they weren't hacked, because I have more faith in Twitter than I do the president.
And that's saying a lot.
But the problem is it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
This isn't going to happen. It has completely changed the game of how politics work, how primary politics work in particular.
You think it's changing for the better?
I don't like the impulsive tweeting, like the Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas things. I do think that, for me, is below the decorum of what I would like in the White House, but I don't think it's going anywhere.
Well,
I think this is how we live now.
But I like that he calls people names, because then we can. You know? I can call him names.
When the president,
my book, The Great Gas Bag, available now on Amazon, calls him the name, The Great Gas Bag. And that's
her new book.
My new book, which you can get.
which is on Amazon.
The reason that I could do that is because he calls Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, and he calls Hillary Clinton.
To have a comeback.
Well, no,
it's not that they need to go low, but the communication she's talking about whether you like it or not, and I certainly have mixed opinions on all of it. It was effective, and it works, and it still works.
I missed the substance, though. Like, when I watched the primaries, the Republican I remember watching and wanting to hear them say something, and they kept getting to name-calling and small hands and all this, and I thought, but wait, I can't even tell the 16 of you apart anymore, because no one's talking about anything.
But let's remember, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. 3 million more people voted for someone that spoke a lot differently than
let's talk
and
about
I know that
because
keeps
there's a
Joy
whole
warm
conversation.
That 3 million more people voted for.
Yeah,
he's a first.
But I do wonder, because I don't want to be told by anybody who's saying they're going to represent me. I don't want them telling me that people are rapists and murderers.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that the Constitution doesn't mean anything. That I don't want to hear that heroes are not heroes when they fought for my right.
How do you think I feel every day in my party with what he said about I take it day by day, because if I wake up in the morning obsessing over what he said about my father, I'll kill myself from the inside out. And I'm a political analyst. Yeah. And I need to take it moment by moment. I don't like these things either. I don't think any American sitting here, even the most hardcore Trump supporters, like things like that. But it is the reality we're living in.
It is the reality, but it doesn't have to be. If you don't like that, you can demand better from the guy. You can get his message. You can say we're not getting the jobs we need, or I feel people are coming over and not doing what they were supposed to be. I can hear all that. Yeah. But you can't couch it in it's them. We got to get rid of them. You can't couch it in that, because I've seen that. I've lived through that, when it's them, and what happens when people get that mindset. And we're seeing it. We're seeing people have been freed up to say stuff that's just decorum. You don't do that. You don't do it. And to have it come from this man in the White House.
I know what you're about to say.
Now, you have to tell everybody where you're headed this weekend.
Oh, on Sunday I'm flying to Puerto Rico to do a special report. Just to see how things are, the state of things, to really come back and tell people what is really going on on my island.
All right.
Good for you.
Well done. We will be right back with more Hot Topics.
Later, falling house of cards. The shocking on-set sexual assault allegations against Kevin Spacey that shut down production. Puerto Rico. We've all seen the stunning images of devastation. Now, next week, Sunny Hostin travels there, inside the harsh damage zone, with live updates on what's really happening on the island her family calls home. A must-see View special report next week on ABC. Still ahead, Keith Olbermann hits the Hot Topics table.
So, honey, this messed everybody's head up. Former DNC interim chair Donna Brazile, who will be here on Tuesday, by the way, just wrote a bombshell book claiming that a year before Hillary Clinton clinched the nomination, her campaign agreed to bail out the bankrupt DNC in exchange for day-to-day control over operations. So Bernie Sanders was basically ignored.
By the Democratic
by the
DNC. Yes, which was a bad thing. Was a very bad thing. And, Donna Brazile has just handed a lovely gift to Trump right now with this revelation of the DNC. And it's not a pretty picture. It's not. It's a nasty side. It's not criminal. It's unethical, maybe, but it's not criminal, and it's not going to distract from the Mueller investigation, in case you're wondering, Donald. But it was bad, and it just shows you that politics on both sides have to be, they need a purge. They need to be totally vomited out and start new.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I mean, you know, I think it's common knowledge. My best friend, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, was the DNC secretary during this time. And Donna Brazile is also a very good friend of mine. So I believe Donna. I'm not finished reading her book, but I have reached out to her. And I believe Donna when she says this is what she found, because she's a pretty forthright person. And something has got to change. I mean, not only did they perhaps ignore Bernie, if you remember during the campaign, Sanders' campaign was concerned that the early primary debate schedule was very limited against his favor.
He spoke out about it.
Yeah, he said that party money was used for Clinton fundraising and not for his fundraising, and that briefly they cut off Sanders' access to the party voter file shortly before the New Hampshire primary. I mean, if you want to win, you win fair and square. You don't play these kinds of games, and I was really disgusted and disappointed.
Well, and it feeds
to hear
into
about
so many
this.
of her people that didn't like her, that said there was something they couldn't trust, and that you know, there was something going on here. It kind of disappointed me, because when I read this, I haven't defended that part, but a part of me thought there's no way that all went on. And then you read it and you're like, is there anything else?
Depressing.
But it also makes you more cynical about the political process. This is a breakdown in our democracy at the very basic level. And I've always liked Donna Brazile. I was shocked when it came out that she had passed along a debate question early onto Hillary Clinton's campaign before it happened. These are things that shocked me. I always thought her to be a really good, ethical person in politics.
She was fired for that.
Trust me, yes, she was, which isn't that hard to find, or is
And we should ask her
hard
about
to
that on
find.
Tuesday.
But I will say that for whatever you're saying about the mockery of the Republican primaries, and God knows I had my issues with a lot of it, the RNC wasn't putting their hand in the bag trying to get Trump elected. He was the last candidate the establishment of the Republican Party wanted. So the RNC wasn't rigging the game to get Trump elected, which is something I think now showcases.
The Russians were rigging the game.
That's the difference. That is the difference.
First of all, not everything goes back to Mueller and Russia. This is a bad day for you guys. You have Elizabeth Warren coming out, the great new hope for the Democratic Party, saying that this was rigged in order for Hillary Clinton, when you have the next possible nominee for your party saying that.
Yeah, all roads lead to the
my
Kremlin.
comment was less about the mockery of the Republican
This has nothing to
primaries.
do with Russia. The DNC's problem right now has nothing to do with Russia.
What I was saying is more that when you were saying this is the world we live in, I said that's sad, because as a voter who wants to participate in my democracy, I watched these primaries and I watched these debates to get some information, to be able to inform myself about what these. So I was saying the fact that this is the new reality is scary, because to make an informed decision as a voter, I need to have something to watch.
But what's worse, a bad primary debate or a rigged election?
All of
I think
is
they're all
worse.
bad.
There's no bad or worse. The really terrible thing about all of this is, you know, people do what they do to do this stuff. What I don't understand is, why did everybody wait?
Yes. That is a valid point.
Why did everybody wait to tell this information?
You mean Donna Brazile?
No, the other people say they knew. Other people say, well, I was aware of this. And so, for me, you know, why are you pursing your lips at me?
When you say other people knew when you say other people knew about this
other
DNC
people had to have known some of this, because like if Robbie Mook was writing emails to like contracts
I think
and things, then
what I've read in Donna's book is that Debbie Wasserman Schultz knew.
Well,
but
that's
that
what
no one else knew.
Well, but
there's no
some,
way.
but
you have to have more players.
DNC leadership didn't know. She says, but we'll ask her about it on Tuesday.
But if they made a deal. Who made the deal? Was it just Debbie by herself? Nobody knew?
Apparently
I don't buy that. And why then does Elizabeth Warren sort of say, well, I got it. I get it.
I think she got it now. But those
my
are the
point
questions
is,
we have.
other people, whoever it is, Donna Brazile, whoever it is, why'd you wait?
And come on, don't be naive.
You know what I mean?
The DNC convention, I mean, that was all everyone was talking about, that this is a rigged game for Hillary, Bernie supporters.
But you know, I'm sorry, if you care about what we do and you have this information and you hold it, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
I'm mad that you held it. And whoever else knew, whoever it is, I'm mad at you. Just like I'm mad at these people who went to Russia to do all this. I'm mad because that's not how we do stuff.
Yeah.
That's not how we do stuff. And if you're going to bitch and moan about young people and then this is how you treat them, How are they supposed to know what we're supposed to be looking at as a nation? How are they supposed to know when you can't get a straight answer from either side? It's caca.
Well, that's why Bernie was mad. Bernie was mad, and for good reason. Bernie was angry. And you know what?
And I think they saw Bernie
hindsight is 20/20, but maybe Bernie could have won because he had very similar shtick to Trump, but on the other side.
I know, but shtick doesn't make it. As we're seeing, shtick is starting to really get sticky.
I'm just talking about getting elected. It got into the White House.
But the most important point Whoopi's making is millennials, the cynicism and the lack of wanting to be involved in any capacity at all in our democratic process, voting, etc. This gives people another reason to think the system is rigged. Why should I be involved?
Maybe they need to take money out of politics, and then you'll see some good people coming out.
They had it that way.
They had it that
way. But there was a big Republican push for campaign finance, and that's where we went wrong. When the Republican push to change campaign finance laws.
My father was the architect of that bill, but all right.
I have a question, though, for you about the money. The RNC is paying about $500,000 in legal fees for Trump Jr. and Trump. What about that? Is that okay?
What saying is completely valid. It is on both sides. I'm not negating that, but I'm saying for us to sit here and sort of say that it's not on both sides is obviously false.
But it's still a false equivalency because one is about a foreign government. Let us not forget that.
It's all crap.
I don't want to relitigate the dossier.
When it all lives when it lives this way, it's all crap. When we can't defend what happened, there's an issue. And the other thing I just want to say, which is important, is young people, there's a reason you should be involved in the vote. There's a reason. Because if you don't do it, it's not going to get done because we're getting older. And this is going to be yours, and you better take care of it. You know, people died for the right to be able to do this.
A lot of women died for the right for women to vote.
Keith Olbermann here to tell the ladies about my new book, which I'll now hold. Actually, I can't hold it up because it's called. Oh no, I can't actually say what it's called, what the title is either. Anyway, it's in bookstores now. Ask for it by name.
A lot in common. We both think the president is mentally and emotionally unstable, and we both wrote books about it. The difference is I cannot say the full title of his book on daytime TV.
Why not?
Because he's the author of Trump is Bleeping Crazy, and this is not a joke. So please welcome Keith Olbermann. So we're going to get to your feelings about how mentally unstable.
No, the title sums it up.
The title does.
Yeah.
I know.
Joy likes to talk about it, though.
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll get to that later because I do know that you had an apartment in Trump Tower.
Yeah. Well, in Trump Palace on the east side. Yes.
Yeah, on the east side. And what happened? You couldn't get rid of it? No one wanted it?
No. What? But. That's what happened after I got rid of it. I got rid of it at only like a 20% loss, and another guy bought it from me, and then about 3 weeks later said, "Oh my God, what have I done?"
Really? Why nobody wants to live in the building?
You can't sell the apartments
because his name is on it.
Because his name is on it.
So they took his name off.
He manages some of them and owns some of them, but the name is on there as part of the management deal.
But do you own it?
Do I own it? No, I sold it.
Okay.
I got out, and then this other guy bought it, and his excuse was, "I didn't realize it was so far from the park." Like they had moved it after he bought it. And he lost 5%, and everybody else in that building who's tried to sell can't, including the guy who owns the penthouse. If you want a nice $15 million penthouse for $8 million, there's one over there on the east side.
Well, so he can sell it. So, I'm crying over the loss.
They're trying, it's so bad, they're trying to rename it, which costs a lot of money because you've got to put up new signs and everybody's got to get new uniforms.
Bring the gold down.
Exactly. There's a lot of crappy gold on that building, let me tell you. And so they were going to, this guy who owns the penthouse was told everybody who owned there, if you change the name, you vote to change the name, I'll pay for 10% of the total cost of renaming the building. Still, they couldn't do it.
Wow.
So that's the situation.
Because it's New York.
So it's a metaphor. It's also a metaphor for America. But thank you very much. I'm here all week.
Well, speaking of metaphors,
yes.
Donna Brazile
says
that Hillary Clinton hijacked the DNC and the nomination.
Worked out well for Hillary, didn't it? What are we talking about?
Well, Whoopi said she's disappointed that it hasn't come out, that they're now coming out. What do you think of that?
About 2/3 of it actually did come out. Because it's an interpretation of how she went into a chaotic Democratic National Committee with terrible fundraising and terrible data. Certainly, they were well behind, obviously well behind all the competitors in the election, the Republicans and the Russians. And now she shored that up at her own expense and her committee's expense. And that can be turned around to saying, well, she manipulated the whole thing. I mean, so there's two interpretations of it, but the bottom line is she lost the election. And so whatever was done there, it didn't work out particularly well for her. So it's like, to me, I'm interested in this, and your point about it not coming out and coming out in a book is a good one, but I don't know that it's, I mean, we're talking about this, and it's being used as some sort of balance to the Russian investigation. It's primaries in one party that lost the election, as opposed to whether or not another country came in and sabotaged our election.
And stole it.
So to me, it's like, this is interesting, but I don't think this has a lot of permanent impact on things. Well, but it might clean out the entirety of the candidacy stable. And the one thing I think we're agreed with, that the Democrats probably need a new candidate or 7 or 10 new candidates in 2020. I will not run. If nominated, I will not accept.
Me either.
And it's not going to happen anyway, so it's nice to be able to say it, though.
Well, let's talk about all the shoes that dropped this week in regard to the Mueller investigation. You first with Manafort, Gates, Papadopoulos.
That's
now
a big
they're
one.
talking about Jeff Sessions once again possibly lying under oath. What's your biggest takeaway from this week, and how do you predict this will end?
Papadopoulos was wearing a wire since July.
That's maybe.
Yeah.
That's maybe.
We don't know that for sure.
He was a proactively cooperating witness. What does that mean?
It means he was wearing a
That means
wire.
he was either wearing a wire or he was taking really good notes. I mean,
It's likely a wire.
Yeah, it's likely a wire, and if not, not only did they not know about it, but when it turned out that his boss, who until yesterday was the nominee for Secretary of Agriculture and then withdrew, he had talked to the prosecutors, or he talked to the Senate committee, right? In August, and they found this out on CNN. So, in other words, what the takeaway this week, particularly with the Manafort indictment, which I think people saw coming, but we're still guessing: was it Manafort? Was it Flynn? Was it Ivanka? Who's going to be indicted?
Donald Jr.
And all the attention's paid to that. And here's this confession of this guy who says, "No, I met with the Russians and talked about setting up a meeting between Trump and Putin, which would be exactly what they've charged the entire campaign with, because I was in the campaign."
But
Nobody knew about
that. But he might fire Mueller. He
No.
might. Everybody's talking
Now
about
he claims he doesn't even know that guy. He's like, he's an errand boy.
Well,
coffee boy.
There's two stories to put together, which is delightful. There's one from this morning, and one from 2 weeks ago in the controversy with the widow of one of the lost servicemen in Niger, where she recounted her version of the conversation that they had, and he said, "No, it's wrong, and you trust my version of it because I have one of the greatest memories of all time."
Yes.
Today he was asked about the Papadopoulos meeting and went, "I don't remember that meeting very well." What happened to the greatest memory of all time? Nobody got to take you the follow-up.
That was, yes.
But
that
nobody,
was
what he could have said was, "I don't remember that saying that either," which would have been the follow-up. But to me, that's the takeaway. It's like all this stuff in the Mueller investigation has literally been happening with nobody knowing about it. We don't know what else is going on there, and it's like, get your 65-pound bag of popcorn.
Well, you also recently got into a bit of a Twitter thing with Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, my.
A lot of people are, of course, frustrated by Trump's reaction to the terror attack here in New York. But you said recently via tweet that Trump and his family have done more damage to America than bin Laden and ISIS combined.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, we did really well after 9/11. I don't think the country has given itself enough credit for what we did not do after 9/11. We did not restrict all of the freedoms in this country. We did not single out people. We did not destroy the
3,000
fabric.
people died on 9/11.
Yes.
I mean, the comparison is absurd.
Well, do you mean the time after?
But more people died in the Iraq War than died in 9/11, and we didn't need to be there.
You
as a
think that
response to
bin Laden
9/11.
did less to damage America than President Trump?
Yes.
Can I tell you something? When I hear rhetoric like that, I think Whoopi and I are in agreement that we want Americans to come together. And rhetoric like that is so damaging. And by the way, my brother fought in the Iraq War and deployed numerous times. So before we start tit for tatting, there's a lot of service in my family.
Yes.
So I don't understand when you're saying things like that. Bin Laden was dedicated to the destruction of everything that we hold dear in our freedom. So when you
Perhaps
compare
some people
it to
think
that,
Trump is dedicated to the
I
destruction
believe I'm
of
asking
things
the question.
to
I
other
believe I'm
people's
asking
treatment.
Keith.
Well, actually, it was my question.
Okay, so what's your
Okay,
answer?
So somebody asked
Well,
the damn
come on.
question.
Right, what's the
so we
question?
can-
What's the question?
The question is,
My question was, do you honestly believe that?
why is you're making you're saying that going into Iraq was worse than what bin Laden did on 9/11? Is what you said, and that's
you
what
believe
ticked her
that?
off.
Yeah.
I do, and it's not about disrespecting the troops in the slightest, or the servicemen, or your father's service, which astounds me to this day that he was able to do that. And his service to this country right now astounds me, and I applaud him. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying the Iraq War was a waste of these people's lives, and it was unnecessary.
From your perspective.
Well, I think history suggests that the two things didn't have anything to do with one another.
How do people like us find common ground? Because I'm not interested in this sort of because we disagree vehemently on our outlook on the world, and I'm so tired of this kind of rhetoric, and I'm tired of it on the right as well. I'm exhausted with it. I think most Americans can. Do you want President Trump to fail? Do you want America to fail? Because I'm genuinely curious.
Stay tuned for the answer.
Oh, no.
When we come back, because Keith is sticking around.
Metzger Wickersham, right now.
And we are back with Keith Olbermann. So, Keith, before we go on to another subject, how do we achieve this kumbaya that we're so craving at the table today?
All right, we'll start with something you said. Where can our common ground be? Let me start by something you'll probably find hard to believe. It was true up until one thing that he did, and it's still been true in the background
When
since.
You say say his name.
I'm getting to it.
All right.
I'm doing this. You did the whole drama bit where his answer after this commercial. Let me do a little of that too.
Right. Teasing. Oh, I see. All right.
My favorite person in politics, in American politics in the 21st century, is your father.
Well,
okay?
I appreciate that.
But what I'm saying is, in retrospect, based on what we've seen in the last 2 years in this country, I owe him an apology.
Oh.
I probably owe George W. Bush an apology.
Shut up.
And I would happily take a third term of George W. But that's not the point. All the things that are supposed to be done. Wouldn't you like a boring president for even 3 weeks right now?
Not with those policies, no.
My point is,
no.
Those policies are going to happen one way or the other. My argument is not about the politics or the policies. It's about I don't think the guy is stable, and I don't care if and he said to me he was a liberal Democrat the last time I talked to him in the flesh, Trump. So I don't care if that's true. So my point is my attitude towards this administration is, we're stuck with it, or I'm stuck with it from my point of view, no matter what happens going forward for at least 4 years. No. Okay? I'm accepting that. I'll take President Pence. I'll carry him to the White House on my shoulders.
Well, thank you for the apology to me and the Bushes. I think it is actually greatly appreciated. You and I are both out of cable news now, and I do think conversations like this are a lot more productive.
You're as happy as I am that we're out of cable
news. Seem a very happy person.
My hair got darker.
But you said you would go out of you're exhausted. We were talking in the commercial break. I'm exhausted with it. It exhausts me all day long, and it's another common ground. You're also exhausted with it.
Yes, I think everybody would be. My point was serious. I'd be very happy with
just before we go. We have to go. We're out of time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I want to ask you, just as we go out, why is he crazy? Tell the audience why you think he's crazy.
Joy's been waiting for this.
It's the title of the book. It's the title of the bleeping book.
All right, frankly, it's this. Every time I ever saw him, I thought I was dealing with Eddie Haskell. He would call, Mr. Olbermann, how are you doing in the apartment? Are you having or see him at NBC?
Yeah.
Absolutely solicitous, nice man. The conversation was always about me. So I now am telling the fact that after the campaign started, I'm on Bill Maher's show, our friend who I went to college with, and I'm on his show, and I'm revealing that I got conned by this because there's clearly at least two personalities. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Bill is going to kill me for saying this because his BS detector is way higher than mine.
Yeah.
So I'm now saying this and going, just shut up and let him destroy you. And I shut up, and he goes, basically, golly, that's exactly the way I feel about him. And I went, oh, this isn't just a good BS artist. This has to be clinical because this multiple personality thing fooled Bill Maher. Yeah. That was my first indication of it. And then I did a piece where I took an actual triage test for being a psychopath and applied it to him. He scored very highly.
Very high. Okay.
Dr. Olbermann.
Dr. Olbermann. Keith Olbermann.
I tried.
Trump is bleeping crazy. What's the tagline?
This is
not a joke.
Well, we know that.
It's available now, and our entire audience is going home with a copy.
And now, Some advice to our guests coming to The View.
When you step onto this stage, face these ladies, oh, you better be ready to roll, cause it is so on. This November, The View is everything.
Bam! Drop the mic.
Taking on the hottest topics and political exclusives. Then we're dialing things up with, oh, you ready? Tyler Perry, Justin Hartley, Garth Brooks, Mary J. Blige, Diana Ross, that's Miss Ross to you, and Kelly Clarkson. Oh wait, that's Kelly's song in this promo. Nice.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, we're also partying it up for Whoopi's birthday and throwing Sarah the most awesome baby shower ever. Hashtag crazy. This November, The View is everything on ABC.
You know what's better than getting the best?
Monday, a stunning drop the mic moment on the
features of our current politics should ever be regarded as normal.
Senator Jeff Flake took on President Trump, and he's live on The View to reveal how he plans to keep up the fight after he leaves the Senate. And it's a View Your Deal takeover with awesome items coming at you all show long.
Right. Is this a conversation you wanted to be part of?
Desperately, but I know my place. It's
Well,
fine.
let's start it up then.
We were talking about your birthday. It's coming up.
Oh, well,
So it's a
I
surprise.
thought it was about, sex is an important part of a relationship. So how do you handle it if your partner's really not good at it? So the website Elite Daily, asked women how they dealt with it.
What did they say?
So, well, what did you say? What do you say?
Get off of me. Now.
You know what I do?
What do you do?
Is that smoke I smell?
Oh my God.
And then I say, oh, I gotta go.
That's a good one. That's a little more diplomatic.
Yes,
than
and
get
then
off
I
of
go, but I go out, and then I go out the door, and I get in the car,
Yeah.
and I go to my house. Very simple.
They're not at your house?
Not at my house.
Okay.
It's hard to get people out your house.
Whenever, yeah,
It's hard. See, because people get all relaxed and stuff, and it's like, no, you gotta go. Because you clearly don't know what you're doing.
Well, clearly she didn't say that. Get off of me. This one.
Yeah.
No, I kept the one that was good.
Yeah. Oh, really? Was it?
Oh,
Tell
God.
us about that.
Well, wait, I don't think you'll be able to because we have to go. We'll be right back.